Before we begin writing the formula for the calendar display, we will start writing a couple of formulas to pull in the employee start date and end date, which we will use in the calendar formula soon. So let's get started with finding a formula to extract the start date and the end date for the chosen employee. So let's go to the cell AL3. This is where I'm going to write the formula. So I'm just going to write in employee start date here, and then I will show this way. So this is where we're going to populate one of them, and then the end date we will show here. Okay, so let's write the formula first for the start date. So go to the index, go to the employee table, and then find the start date column, and then show me the start date for my specific employee. So I need to provide a row number. So the match function is going to give me a row number. So what am I trying to match? I'm going to look up this value, which is the IER employee. So that's what the user is going to enter. And then I want to match this in the list of employee names for an exact match. So I'll do 0. And then once I have the row number, just give me the start date. So that's going to be the date, and it's not formatted like a date. So let's do that. And then maybe press Ctrl+1 and use our favorite format for dates. There you go. So this employee start date is this. So if I do employee 2, you'll see that the start date is changing. So this is how we have built a way to extract the data from another sheet based on the user selection. We can apply the same formula here in the end date. Before we do that, I'm just going to wrap this up as in the if error function. If somebody chooses a wrong employee name or something, then I just would like you to display nothing in there. And then we can copy this formula and then go to the end date, edit, paste it, and then just change this to the end date and press enter. And then again, we want to apply the same format. And so one of the ways you can copy the formatting is select the cell, hit Format Painter, and then click on the other cell and then widen it so that you can see it. There you go. So now we have actually created an end date very, very quickly. And now if I change the employee to employee 2, wow, that doesn't make sense because employee 2 is still employed with the company. And so what Excel is doing is it will extract 0. So you'll see here in the number format menu, the actual data is 0. That's what's getting stored. Why does Excel show 0 for employee 2 as the end date? So if you go to the employee sheet, employee 2 does not have any value because the employee is still employed. And that's going to be the case for most of your employees in your database. So what's going to happen is we need to build a way to avoid showing incorrect value like this. So what I will do to account for that is usually I will do an if, and if this whole thing, I think it ends here. If I select all of them and then say, if the whole thing equals 0, then don't display anything. If it is not 0, then display that index result. And then I will close the if there and then leave the last display nothing space as nothing but if error function parameter. So make sure that the last parenthesis you have is closing out the opening one. It does. So I'm going to press enter. And now essentially what we're doing is if the end date is actually 0, don't display anything. If the end date is not 0, then display that result. That's all we're doing. It looks long, but it's basically the same value, same part of the formula being repeated. So that is how you can make sure that the display looks professional and doesn't show you some zeros where it shouldn't be showing. So we have now built a way to show the employee start date and the end date. And the last part of this is I want to make sure that we name these so that the we can use them in the formulas easier. So I'm going to name the start date as C underscore employee start. And C here represents that this is a calculated cell. If you remember, I've been following some naming conventions. I for input, L for list, T for table, and then C for calculated cell. So calculated employee start is this. And then this one, I'm sure you could guess what I'm going to do. C underscore employee end. This is going to be the end date of the employee. Now that we have calculated these two values, we are now ready to go in and fill out this calendar area with the display values here. We will do that in the next video.